Greetings, everyone. This is Kalei Ross with In Pursuit of Purity. It is my desire to learn as much as I can about chocolate and the chocolate making industry. I would love to share with you what I learn, so I hope you enjoy these videos.
Well, greetings, everyone. This is Kalei Ross with In Pursuit of Purity, and I'm so excited because today we are going to travel back to my home state of Hawaii, and we are specifically going to the Big Island of Hawaii. And it is just so exciting to read about all the things that are going on there. It has developed into an incredible place where cacao has become an important part of the culture. And I am so grateful that today we are going to be joined by Mike Pollard from Honoka'a Chocolate. He is there on the Big Island, so he's going to be able to give us an inside scoop on what is taking place. Thank you so much for being here this morning, Mike.
Thanks for having me. Super excited.
I am so excited to hear all about what's going on. I know that chocolate is something that more people love than not. And so I'm excited to hear about your specific chocolate journey because obviously, even though we may like chocolate, we may not actually go out and start making chocolate, but you did. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us about your chocolate journey.
Yeah, so I actually grew up on a farm when I was young and worked on the farm and I hated every second of it. And so I took a different path and worked in tech for most of my career. But back in 2013, I got this idea that I wanted to have a small farm and so my wife was very agreeable to it, and we kind of jumped into it, and we bought our current place, which is just about 5 acres. And we moved in. We had no idea what we were going to grow. But as luck would have it, my wife Rhonda went off to one of the chocolate festivals here on the Big Island, and she came home with a cacao pod and handed it to me and said, "Here, plant this. I think we can make a lot of money." And so the back then it was the industry is still burgeoning, but it was very small still. But my first thought, probably like most people that got into this industry here in Hawaii, is that wow, we have the potential to be like what Napa Valley is to wines. We get this really special experience, and then and a very special, unique product that's only able to be produced here in this state, at least in the U.S. So I just I jumped in head first, and actually this is really important. My first reaction to the pod was, "What is this?" That's where chocolate comes from. So like pretty much everybody on the planet, how many people actually know where their chocolate comes from? That was really important
Right.
to me. And in fact, to this day, our message to our customers is to try to change the way they think about chocolate from the way they consume it to how they purchase it, and just education. But that's sort of our story to where it started. And I started making chocolate back then in 2013, and I did what everybody does on the planet, right? When you first make your first batch, it's in the kitchen oven roasting on a cookie pan, right? And then you crack with a rolling pin and get the hair dryer out, and I bought one of those little Spectra melangers to start with. But that's where the journey started, and it never really stopped from that point.
It just kind of steamrolled, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I'm obsessed and addicted to making chocolate.
Well, that is a wonderful thing to hear coming from a chocolate maker. Tell us about Honoka'a. Tell us about its history as far as the name and the meaning behind it.
Yeah, so Honokaa is a small town on the north shore of the Big Island in the Hamakua coast in the Hamakua district, and it was one of the original sugarcane plantation towns. And in fact, the first owner or first sort of private entity to have this property that we're on now was the doctor for the sugarcane plantation. And Honokat's, yeah, so it's been around for a very long time. Lots of rich history. In fact, it's probably one of my favorite small towns in all of Hawaii. Like, I love Haleiwa, and then like up on in Kauai, there's like Honolulu and all these. So those are the I
Mhm.
love towns like that. And so ours has this really cool artsy eclectic sort of vibe that people get, and not very many people know about it yet, of course, unfortunately, but we're getting there. We just need to get the word out. Hey, Honokaa is a great place to come. But so very long history. The word Honokaa itself, and I hope I don't get this wrong, but I've had a few people that like grew up here. They know the Hawaiian language and they know how to interpret the meanings. But Hono is like a bay, kind of like Honolulu, right? It's a bay, and then Ka'a are these little pebbles on the beach. You know that when the ocean turns up all these little pebbles and they become round and soft, and so that's so just below Honokaa, down on Makai side, down towards the ocean, it's there's a Hono with lots of Ka'a on it. So there you go. That's the meaning of Honokaa.
Well, I'm curious because as a chocolate maker, it's hard enough to create one type of chocolate. But I actually have a selection of your lineup behind me. You have quite an array from Fiji to Dominican Republic, Honduras, Madagascar. You have really hit the nail on so many and have figured out a way to make some really beautiful chocolate. And for everybody that's watching, this is my favorite. They're 85%. You're also doing, obviously, chocolate made from cacao grown in Hawaii. How did you come up with your product line? Because it's such a vast product line.
Well, the origins of the product line were just like, okay, I'm going to make this. I'm going to make this. It was just kind of random. There wasn't really any long-term strategic plan for doing that. It just kind of fell into place. And in fact, we haven't talked in a while. So one of the things that's changed is we really pared down our product line. So we've basically limited it to 7 products, and that includes the 85 that you have in your hand, and then the 70% version of that, and then we also do a goat milk chocolate, and all 3 of those we use our locally grown beans here. And then we also have some other products, really interesting products. So we do a non-dairy coconut milk product. That's a 65%. So by most standards, that's a dark chocolate, and it's non-dairy, and it has organic coconut milk. It's really good. And then there's we have a line of chocolates we call the barrel aged and infused chocolates. And so we have these little 2.5-gallon oak barrels that we age and infuse nibs in. And then it's just goes through our regular chocolate making process, but you get this, the residual flavor of the whatever the spirit is that you're infusing, so that's our lineup now. And so the single origin sort of imports, like from Fiji and places like that, we're still doing that, but we only do that for our subscribers. So we have a monthly subscription service. And we do our Hawaii estate chocolates from about 7 or 8 different farms that we're buying from, and then really special versions of the barrel aged and infused bars. And then let's see, the last one is it's the import. Yeah, so we call it our global passport. And it's we just do a really careful job at curating the beans for those just looking for the absolute best that we can offer our customers. But that's our product line. So we've pared it down quite a bit from what it used to be. And of course, when you're scaling your business up, that's a really important thing. You don't want to try to do too many things. You want to do a few things really well.
Mm-hmm. And yet, I just have to say that everything that you have done has been great. I mean, you just kind of hit the nail on the head with regards to all these different beans from different countries, and yet creating something that's really wonderful. So just encourage people, if they have an opportunity to try everything that you offer. I wanted to talk about the issue of terroir, because I know that you had made reference to Napa Valley, and with wine, that's something that everybody is concerned about. They're interested about the terroir and things like that. And Hawaii is so unique with regards to the soil, the land in which everything is grown on. What kind of impact does that have on the chocolate that you are able to make?
Yeah, you'll hear a lot of different things from different people on this. So I'll just give you my opinion on it. I think the terroir has the biggest influence on flavor, and second to that would be the family or variety of tree. Um, and in fact, most people that are growing here have multiple varieties of trees in their orchard, which is a great thing. It's having genetic diversity is a great thing for multiple reasons. But one of them is the flavors. But the biggest influence is the growing environment. And I think what's really magical about chocolate is this. So just using wine as an example, for anyone familiar with wines and how they're evaluated, it's typically the most important thing on the label is the date or the year that it was produced, the vintage, right? Because you can go back to
Mhm.
that year and look at a very specific set of environmental conditions that produce this flavor. Well, guess what? With chocolate, we have 4 seasons, so you get these. You basically got multiple variations. It's the
Right.
magic of craft chocolate, like what we're producing, is that it's just the opposite of store-bought chocolate, where everything's really consistent, single flavor. You get, if you buy one bar this year, the next year it's going to be the same. And with craft chocolate, you get this variation. So yeah, and I think I know of a few people that are starting to take advantage of that and really focus in on the that vintage sort of approach to chocolate.
What is characteristic? Maybe this is a gross generalization, but what would be characteristic of some of the flavors that people can experience from chocolate made with cacao grown in Hawaii?
Yeah, I would say that, like, for the most part, Hawaiian chocolates have these bright fruity notes up front, lots of florally components in the fragrance, and sort of buttery toffee caramelly flavors in the midsection, and then the finish is typically very nutty. And of course, just like any place else, we have all these micro terroirs, different growing conditions. Um,
Hmm.
for each part of the island, the windward side's a lot wetter than the dry side. The south side of the island gets a lot more sun than the north side, and in places, and so all those little things influence it. But I'd say the major characteristic is the bright fruity flavors, that characteristic midsection and nutty finish.
Hmm. Well, all of that, the whole description is just so amazing. It's like an amazing symphony for the mouth. So hope that people will have the opportunity to give that a try. Um, I'm curious about what is it that you would really like viewers to take away from our time today? Because as you said, the people are just beginning to become familiar with Hawaiian chocolate and Honokaa. So what is it that you would like people to take away from our time together?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier on, just educating our everyone that's not familiar with chocolate, knowing where it comes from, knowing the differences between the craft industry and the larger industrial size chocolates, things like that. Just knowing where your chocolate comes from and know how to purchase ethically sourced chocolate. I think that's really important. And then, of course, just the sheer fact that Hawaii is able to produce cacao. It's a really unique place because, number one, we have the correct environment, we have the right conditions to grow cacao here, and the other thing that we have that most places that are growing cacao don't have is, like, really easily accessible infrastructure, the
Right.
utilities and floor space and all those things you need to make chocolate. And so it's really the only place in the US that you can go visit this place and see cacao growing, and then 100 feet away somebody's making chocolate. So and
Hmm.
there's a lot of people doing that here now. So if that, for your viewers, if you do get a chance to visit Hawaii, I'd highly suggest you visit a cacao farm, and we'll be here for you. We do tours 5 days a week. And so yeah, that's our messages. And then, of course, I guess the last thing I would say is quality. So there's there's a lot of people really striving for high quality chocolate here and winning awards and things like that. So it's a really unique industry. So come see us.
Yeah. Well, viewers, you heard it first from Mike. Go and check them out. What an amazing opportunity it is to be able to see cacao being grown and also see it being made in the very same place. Thank you so much for your time, Mike. This has been great. We've, just love the chocolate once again, just kind of showing a couple bars here. And I know that I have the goat milk that Mike had talked about. Great, great selection of chocolate out there. So make sure to check out some Honoka'a chocolate, folks. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.